the first tranche of government shutdown would occur on January 19th. Remember, Speaker Johnson did this two-part deal. And the Pentagon is the second part, which is the first week of February. But Veterans Affairs and a bunch of these other things are January 19th. That's not a lot of time when these guys get back. Now, I know staff's probably been doing some work over the holidays, but I just don't see how they get a deal on government funding on those key 4 or 5 agencies by January 19th, considering they're not coming back to town until next week, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, don't threaten me with a good time when it comes to government shutdown. I can only wish that the government would stay shut down indefinitely. And by the way, no, that doesn't mean that I don't want military members to get paid. Of course, I want them to get paid. But I don't know. I see them working out a deal. To your point, Sean, it is not a lot of time, but they just always seem to come to an agreement. And if the government does get shut down, it's maybe a couple days and it's inconsequential. And then the Democrats use it as messaging that the Republicans don't care and the Republicans want to close the government and the Republicans don't like military members. And then they come to some sort of agreement. I just don't see it as being anything consequential.
Larry?
Yeah, I'm pretty much was there. I think there will be a shutdown though, just because of the timing. And it's not as you both know, this isn't like the good old days where Speaker Johnson can get into a room with Schumer and Biden and hammer out a deal. He's committed to going through regular process and actually having committees pass these spending plans. And it's just a logistical thing. The difference here though is that Johnson, I'm sorry, I sound like such a true believer in Mike Johnson, but I think he gets it. I think he's going to hold firm on this. And I think it's the Democrats who are in trouble this time around.
Let me ask you this. WMAL, where you're on every morning, covers the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia, that Northern Virginia and Maryland area, a lot of federal workers. When people hear about a government shutdown, to Sarah's point, obviously the military is one aspect. Do people that you talk to have the same doom and gloom about the government shutting down that so many in the media try to portray is what's happening? Like, do these people who work there, the contractors, the federal employees, do they have the same concern that the media likes to portray as they're being?
I'll tell you, Sean, being in Washington, D.C., doing talk radio on issues like this is different than anywhere else in the country. You listen to the show, or at least you pretend to, and I appreciate that.
I get transcripts.
We do have a different tone. It's not. I will tell you this: actual federal employees, will call in and say, "Shut it down. I don't care," because they know they're going to get paid. They know they're going to get paid. It's the contractors. The contractors get screwed in this, and there's a huge number of former military. Former Homeland Security employees who work now in the private sector. Now, they do get paid a lot more than they used to when they were working in the military. But the trade-off is if there's a shutdown, they get nothing.
Right.
And they hate it. They do get concerned because the way the military, as you know, Sean, has been reoriented, a lot of the hard work is done by these contractors. A lot of the dirty work is done by these contractors, and they're the ones who get lost in the shuffle. That said, most of them all recognize the waste, fraud, and abuse that is rampant in our government. And so when push comes to shove, even though it hurts them on a personal basis, they're on board with this. I just, as a radio host, need to be a little more compassionate when I project the amount. I can't just get on the air and say, screw them, let them all die. No, because that's our listeners, you know.
It's interesting. It is interesting because there is a big difference in that contracting role, and these people who, maybe have retired from the military or just that's their profession from the jump. They have to put in their 40 hours, and if they don't do it, they can't get back pay. I mean, I remember when I was on active duty, if we had an event, command event, if it was sort of like a celebration, they either had to take an hour of like PTO and say, okay, I'll go to the awards ceremony, the luncheon, or I had to stay at my desk and work. That's not considered work. Their contract requires them to do it. So you're right. There is a big difference in that contract. And I think that's going to be where the rubber hits the road in terms of outrage. But so just so everyone understands the calendar, right? It's January 19th, that first, I think it's 4 or 5 departments that will have their funding come up. The DOD, Pentagon military funding is February 2nd. So you do have 30 days, has September, April. So you've got 13 days to the next one. I do believe there will be a shutdown. I think it's definitely going to carry to at least the second. I think they'll work on the Pentagon one, the military spending. But I think you could see a thing, because here's the thing that, again, we lost this in the discussion. Kevin McCarthy is no longer a member of Congress. We are down now, the Santos seat and the McCarthy seat. That brings that majority that Johnson had to 2 seats.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose Bill Johnson from Ohio somewhere around February 1, 2, as he heads off to take the presidency of Youngstown State University. So to your point, Larry, it's like one thing to get in the room and negotiate with Chuck Schumer and Biden, but you don't have any room. You've got members and they're not happy. They're not going to go along with any deal that you just come out with. They want serious cuts and serious reforms. The other thing, just so the audience understands this, is part of the deal that they made during the debt ceiling is that if they don't get these deals, automatic cuts go into place, 1% across the board. Now, that hurts the military too, just so we're clear. But for a lot of these conservatives, they're like, maybe it's not that bad that we shut down and have some real cuts in government. I mean,
I hope you're right.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But the thing that's interesting is right after that, we're also in political season, right?
Right. Not after, during. I mean, the Iowa caucus is the 15th and New Hampshire primary is the 23rd.
Okay, so let's look at, here's what I want to do. Let's do a little political prognostication and predictions here. Let's start on the Republican side. As we go into Iowa, give me your prediction, Sarah, for what you think Iowa looks like. You know, what is it? Place show, win place show. I'm not as good with the ponies either.
I do think that, I don't know. I think that DeSantis, much like Cruz, I think that DeSantis has a real shot at winning in Iowa. I think he's obviously, been on the ground in Iowa for a very long time. He did the full Grassley and all of that. So I do think that he has a pretty good shot at winning Iowa. I don't think that that's going to, lead him to a victory overall. Again, much like Cruz. But I think he has a shot.
Larry, what do you think in Iowa?
I don't disagree with that. I think Iowa being close, like within 5 points, will actually be, if Trump wins it, if it's 5 points or less, that's actually going to be seen as a defeat for Trump. And I think that's a very real possibility. And then when you flip to New Hampshire, I think actually Trump wins going away in New Hampshire.
Yeah, slow your roll there, son.
Sorry.
We're going to get